Just want to welcome everybody to the Reality Realty. We're going to be talking some more real estate today. I have my good friend and past client and just an all around amazing guy, John Roberts. He and we go not too far back, but he is basically just starting out in real estate. And then, like, next thing you know, he hires me to be one of his agents. And next thing, and I've done a few transactions with him, and I love. He's just a really good guy, and his whole philosophy in life and everything that like he does. I just feel like we kind of clicked from the beginning. So anyway, John, can you go ahead and maybe just introduce yourself? Just tell us about yourself.
Yes. Well, my background is a builder. I've bought and sold properties. My background with Kevin here has been great because just in 1 year, in the process of, yeah, 1 year, I was able to, he was able to buy and sell over $1 million worth of property for me, which was great. Kevin, he was the agent for a buyer and seller, which is kind of rare, but I really appreciated that because we were able to expedite that sale really quickly. And shortly after that, I think about 6 months later, we bought another piece of property and that went great. And then shortly after that, I decided to sell I had a duplex. I decided to sell it and I had such great success with Kevin here. So I called him up and thank God we sold at the very top of the market.
Yeah.
And we maxed out on that property and it was incredible because right after we sold it, the market started to go down. And I think in Sacramento, it dropped over 10%, 10 to 12%. And I couldn't imagine getting like less. I couldn't imagine taking 10% off our sale price on that piece of property. But yeah, just builder, and just personal. And then recently retired, moved down to Manhattan Beach, and now I'm starting a nonprofit Christian organization. And we're going to be doing basically our church is going to be online. And I think that's the next wave of church. These big mega churches, they're big and they're good, but it's kind of like something that maybe starting to fade. But especially most people have devices, and they're really kind of connecting with others online. And it's the difference between spending an hour or 2 hours a week, at church, and now you can spend an hour really a day with other believers. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I've done a lot of other things, but just in the last short period of time, that's pretty much it.
I mean, that's a lot, but, well, let's start with how did you get started in building? I mean, you said that you also rent. Are you still renting your
Yes.
property in Sacramento? Kinda just tell us how it all gets started as far as what got you into building and then what got you into, renting out.
Well, got me into building. I was 21 years old, and my brother was working at Kaufman and Broad when they were like very small, and now it's KB Homes, and I mean, it's literally worldwide, but mostly North America. But they go around the world. But yes, very huge. But they were Kaufman and Broad back in the day, and we were just building modular homes, and we had to build 6 houses, no, 3 houses a day, which was 6 half houses. And they put them together, the modular homes, but they were complete houses. They were just built on, you know, on a trailer. And so we couldn't leave the production plant until these 3 houses were built. So that was my introduction. Sometimes we would work 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. And but we get really big bonuses. And I was doing the roofing and doing the eaves and, you know, kind of working up there. My brother was painting. And I did that for a while. Then I got into electrical, started doing the electrical work. And then what really kind of catapulted me was my uncle, who was a builder in the Navy, in the brigade. So he would build like barracks and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got partnered with him, and then we just started building, remodeling the houses, like old burnt down houses. We go and we tear down all the burnt wood, and we just rebuild it. And that really
So
got me into it. Go ahead.
who owned those properties? Were
Oh,
people
these
hiring
were
you guys to do that?
Yeah, they were just yeah,
Oh,
these are
okay.
just clients, people that, word of mouth or whatever, people he knew or people I knew. So it was small. We didn't get really too big. But what kind of got me in this last phase was that my parents, they had bought a lot of properties for cheap right before the financial crisis, in 2008. So they had bought a lot of a lot of houses.
Where at?
Sacramento.
In
Yeah, they
Sacramento, right. Sorry.
and really mainly in one area in North Sacramento where they were buying houses for literally with their credit cards. They were buying houses for $25,000. I
Wow.
mean, they would give offers. That one duplex they bought, they were offering $50,000, and the agent says, "Well, the, if you ask a ridiculous price, you never know what can happen. What can they say? No, they said, look, we'll give you yeah, it was right there. It was in North Sac. It was, and they said, "Look, we'll give you $25,000 cash right now." And so they took it, and that was the yeah, that was the beginning. It was a duplex, so they remodeled that, and they sold that and kind of moved on. They started buying land, and so I started seeing that and seeing how my mom, who was brilliant, she kind of my stepdad is the builder, but my mom is really the financier. She's the one who understood all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I started watching her and listening to her, and then they hired me on as their property manager. And so I started managing some of the properties while I was doing my own thing. I was selling online on eBay.
What were
Uh
you selling?
just like electronics and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Got it, got
Yeah,
it.
not just miscellaneous items. I mean, I had a pretty
Sure.
big store. I was making
Yeah.
good money with it, but it was just a lot of work.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I
So
was
how long
just
did that last?
I did eBay for about 8 years. 8
Wow.
about yeah, 8 years. And
That's a
on
long
E
time.
yeah, eBay and Amazon, I made, close to $1,000,000 in that frame of time. And, yeah, but with that, I was profiting over 10,000 a month. And so with that, well, I was making, let's just say gross. I was making over
Yeah.
10,000 a month. But with the proceeds, I started buying property. And and I was using my mom's formula because I was working, 12, 16 hours a day, and they weren't doing anything. They were sending me to go collect rent. And I'm like, okay, how do I get on that side?
Yeah.
I'm on the
For
wrong
real.
side here. So I just listened to her and started understanding about property management. And then I started, purchasing my own, but I got mine for cheap too. And then I started just developing it, put houses on it. And right now we did sell out. We did sell two of our properties, or a duplex, the one you helped me sell. But the two that you helped me buy, I have three tenants on one, and then I have two tenants on another. So I have a total of five tenants.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it
Very
did,
cool.
yeah, it worked out pretty good. And so now we're along with this nonprofit, once this gets off the ground, we're going to continue to buy property, but now we're going to do it here in Southern California, Manhattan Beach, which is literally 10 times the value with the same amount of work.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's maybe go backtrack a little bit. Can you tell us maybe
hmm
more about your mom? What can you tell us like this formula, or is it just maybe just some knowledge that she like maybe a cool story, something like that about your mom?
Yeah. Well, she was born in 1945, and when she was a teenager, she was, I don't want to say diagnosed because it really wasn't a diagnosis, but she was identified as having a very high IQ. And for a woman back in the 50s to have, 50s and 60s to have a real low, early 60s to have a really high IQ was not, it's not something you could, market like right now. I mean, you got high IQ, you can go to the top of the, to the top of the corporate world. But back
Yeah.
then it was kind of like, so what? You're still gonna just, can't be pregnant, barefoot in
Right.
the kitchen, whatever. There was a lot of sexism going on then. But
Hmm.
she maintained her intelligence. She started working for the state of California, and she retired from that. But the way she was able to manage properties, and I'll be real quick, is
No, no,
it,
take your time, man.
okay. So they would buy. So my mom would buy a piece of property for 20, 25, 30, $40,000. And her husband, my stepdad, he was a builder. So he'd go in there, he'd remodel it, and they would usually pay cash for it. And then they'd immediately put a renter in there. And one of her tricks, or tips, I should say, was that each property had its own separate bank account. So she had, whatever, a house on May Street, which is one of her houses, that had its own bank account, had its own everything. All the bills would would be paid through there. All the money would go into there. So that would be like separate. So literally she would set up each one of her rentals as its own little company, like its own little corporation, you know? And so she could track to see, is this property making money? Is it costing me money? Can I refinance it? Can I pull somebody out of it? And then if she would pull money out of it, of course, it'd go in that bank account. And so it turned into like kind of like a store, you know,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
little like a Subway, you know. I mean, it's got it's right there. You know how much money it's taking, and how much money it's cost to put it, to keep it going, and what the value is right there. And they had over 20 of those. They just
Nice.
yeah, just in North Sacramento. Then they had some in out of state, but those didn't work. And I'll tell you why. They had 3 houses in Georgia, and the reason those didn't work was just the proximity. I mean, yeah, they were cheap. They bought them for 10, 15,000 a piece, but I mean, they would have to my stepdad would have to fly there. He'd have to hire local contractors, he had to stay there. And everything was just screwy, they have different inspectors for this, different inspectors for that. It really, and in the South, which is kind of strange, but the different races would have the different, different ethnicities would have the different inspectors.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, wow.
yeah. Well, that was kind of when he told me that, I thought, yeah, I've been to the South, so it's kind of screwy.
Yeah, 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 that's different, way different than California, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing against them, I love the South. So I mean, hey, they're building their states and their communities the way they want.
Sure.
That's them. But she would do that, and so I kind of emulated that, and I separated each time I got a little property, I would separate it and build it up from that, so I could monitor that one property and say, is this making me money or is
Right.
this losing me money? How much what value can I pull out of it?
Are you doing separate LLCs for each house too? Or is this just all sole proprietor?
Well, right now it's sole proprietor. I do have a corporation, but it's a nonprofit, and
Oh, right, right,
the
right.
my exposure is so low with those with my the five tenants I have right now that I'm comfortable. Although I'd like to in the future, I'm comfortable leaving them the way they are. But definitely when I start out here, the first thing I'm going to do is put an LLC because there you're talking two, $300,000. Here you're talking 2, 3 million.
Million,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Big
that's
difference.
just entry. That's just getting in.
But, it's so cool, it's just a different world out there, I can only imagine.
Mhm.
Okay, well, so tell me more about your mom. What was her name, by the way?
Elizabeth. Yeah,
Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, yeah, so they did that and very successful, like I said, had 20 plus houses, had property, they have they own 200 acres in Oklahoma, that's where my stepdad's from, they got a lot of cattle out there,
Okay.
so they did really well, but, just that passive income coming in, and she had already retired. She had retired from the state, in her 50s, uh, uh, and so I saw that and was thinking, "Okay, that's really the way to go." And I just basically followed her lead. And she sold out most of the stuff they sold, liquidated, and then yeah, at a very good price, and made millions. And at that point, they're just retired now. But
Good for them. Where'd
yeah,
they retire at? Are they still staying in place, or did they go somewhere?
actually, there's two. They spend 6 months or maybe a year here in Sacramento, and then they'll go out to the ranch out in Oklahoma, and
Okay.
that's where my stepbrother lives, and he lives across the street. He's got like 80 acres, and
Oh,
yeah, he's got 80 acres, and then my stepdad, he's got like 120. They just have a bunch. They have 200 acres and a big plot, and then they got Oklahoma's kinda you can go, like, a half a mile and have another 200 acres and go, like, another half a mile and have
oh.
another that's what
For, like, long strips?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, they're just huge, and they put cattle on, so that's what they do.
Cool.
They're going back and forth. Right now, they're in Sacramento. They've been in Sacramento for actually quite some time, and I know eventually they're gonna probably go back and, spend probably half a year there.
Is that your goal to own a bunch of property too? Or, like, bunch of land? Sorry, not a bunch of property, but a bunch of land?
Land well, out here, land is at a premium. Here in Manhattan Beach, it's $10 million an acres. You really gotta be on that. high income level. I mean, they got directors and you know, movie stars. I mean, there's all kinds of celebrities that live right here in the city. And so I'm not at that point just to get land, but
Okay.
I do. If you want me to kind of talk about SB9, I do want to
Yes.
start doing. I do want to start doing that. And SB9 is an incredible way, especially down here, to increase your wealth at a very fast speed. It
Didn't
only
you do
takes.
that with sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Did
Go
you
ahead. Go ahead.
you do that you did that with the first house that you hired me for, right?
Actually, okay, this is what happened with those 2 houses. That's exactly what I was gonna do. I was gonna SB9 those 2
I remember you were
houses
talking about it,
that
yeah.
you helped me buy, and I did something better, Kevin. You What I did was I put an ad on Craigslist, and I said because I knew knew I was gonna come down here, and I was like, "You know what? I don't have time to do that there," and I didn't wanna lock because when you do SB9, you're committing to 3 years of your life
Oh.
at that
Oh,
residence. That's your primary residence. You cannot do nothing for 3 years, and then at 3 years, you can sell it all. You can split it and sell half of it, but I'll get into that in a minute. So
okay.
those 2 that you helped me buy in Sacramento, what I did was I put an ad on Craigslist, and I had somebody who needed a spot for their RV. And so in one place, I backed in the RV. It was a fifth wheel, and I set it up with the plumbing, and that guy is good. And on the other lot, I did the same thing. So basically, I have a spot for somebody who needed a place for their RV, and so those are my tenants. They come with their own home. So that was
That's
kind of
so
incredible,
now what made you think of that?
huh?
How'd you come up
Oh,
with that? What made you think to do that?
Jenny, you know Jenny?
Your wife?
No, 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 no. My wife is
I mean,
Jules.
I'm sorry, Jenny, yes, Jenny, your
Jenny,
cousin.
no, my aunt.
Oh, she's technically your aunt, huh?
Yes, yes,
Oh.
she was married to my uncle.
Oh, I
My well,
apologize.
my business partner on Ivy Street. Yeah. She mentioned it. She said something about it. You know what? If I had that access to the backyard, she said, "Can I put an RV on there?" I go, "Well, no, I was thinking about doing something else." And then I thought, well, "Wait a minute. That's a brilliant idea. Thank you very much."
Oh, thank you. Why
Yeah,
not?
yeah. Yeah.
So what
And
does it
so
take to
those
do that?
no, just back it up. Just back it
I
up.
mean,
I don't.
to the connections, did you actually have a clean out for
Oh, yes,
the
yes, yes.
sewage?
That's
The
all it
sewer oh,
needs.
cool.
All the RVs
Awesome.
need is an RV dump, and then they have, the receptacle, which is, basically just a 50 amp receptacle for your outlet, and then just put them on a meter. One of my tenants is on a meter where she takes a picture of her usage, and she just pays the kilowatt. So it's really good. And the other one is I give them free electricity because it's on a solar panel. I'm like, hey, I'm getting electricity for cheap, so you can crank that AC up. I don't care.
You're a good dude, man. You got a big heart. That's what's and your tenants always seem to be, like, sticking around, right? I mean, like, you
Well,
had it seemed like
Neldon, yeah.
the ones yeah, Nelden was there for what, 30 years, you said? You had it for
He
30 years?
he was there for 20 years, so it was 2001. So yeah, over 20 years. And
Wow.
I mean, yeah, we love our tenants. We take care of them. We don't raise the rent on them. We charge a very we look at the market, and we'll charge 10% less, 10-15% less, no deposits. We don't want to hold their money for forever. I mean, it's their money. Why hold their money? And that gives them incentive to stay there, and they know the rent's not going to be increased. And yeah, I would rather have my properties filled and making less than to have, every 6 months, every 9 months, somebody find a better deal and then move out, and I gotta market it, clean it up, and then
Point. Good
yeah,
point.
that's just a lot of management. But so the SB9, so SB9 is just brilliant. And out here is where we're going to do it. Because so if I would have done SB9 in Sacramento, the value I would have got out of that property would have been, okay, we bought that for 300,000 on Harris. And then I would have put another house on that for, whatever it would cost me, 150,000. And then so now you got the value, split it. And so out of the whole deal, 3 years invested, I only make 150,000, you know, but out here, it's building is building. I mean, if I build the Taj Mahal, in the desert, or with nobody around, or if I build it here in, say, Beverly Hills, well, it's going to take me the same amount of effort to build it. It's just where's the value? And just, you realtors always say it's location, location, location. So it doesn't really matter, you know, the fixed cost of building something, it remains constant. It's just that where can you place that building, to get the most value? And out here, Manhattan Beach is really the top of the South Bay out here. And so what we're doing is we're looking for corner lots. And
Okay.
once we find a corner lot, it has to be at least 2,400 square feet
At
because
least that's the
at
like the rules.
Yes, because when you split a lot so SB9 says you can split the lot and sell half the lot, and you live on the other half, and you have to live there for 3 years. And then after 3 years, then you can sell it. You can sell where you're at. You can sell it off. But you can sell the split lot immediately. And it has to be at least 2,400 square feet because the minimum size lot is 1,200 square foot lot. And here in Manhattan Beach, I'm like living on a 1,700 square feet lot. I got a 2-story house here. And so so let's just say there's high density out here. And my backyard's feisty. My side yard's pretty,
Yeah, yeah.
but I got
You
the
guys are trying to
beach,
go to the beach, not the backyard. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I got the beach. It's 4 blocks down the street. It takes me 5 minutes to walk there, and that's my front yard and backyard. So what we do is, you know, we're gonna get these lots, and then we'll immediately split it. But these lots aren't cheap. I mean, I was looking at one pretty good prospect. It's 1.5 million, which is really low, but the good lots are like 2.3 million. But what you do is right when you buy it, 2.5 million, you immediately split it. And now you have, because the land is really the value, because people want to build on land. They don't want these old beach homes that were built in the 60s. They want to tear that down. You can build up to three stories here in Manhattan.
Ah,
And yeah, and so they want to tear down that old, little 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 750
yeah.
square foot cottage, and they want to build a 2,300, 2,500 square foot, you
Custom
know,
mansion.
cus yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, custom home, with 3-car garage, and triple decker, with the view looking, seeing the ocean. So it's really the land that people want. And it's so with me and my wife, she can have a primary and I can have a primary. And so we cut the 3 years to 18 months, really. So every 18 months we can do this. And so you're looking at, we've already done the math, and just to make it easy, we're looking at $1 million per transact per SB,
Split.
9 transit split. There you go.
So
Go ahead.
you sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to ask
No,
that you and Jules can each have a primary house, like, but separate? Like,
yes,
wow. Even
we have.
you're married, filing joint, or it doesn't even matter what your tax, just being married, like, they're still letting you do that?
Yeah, because I
Oh,
mean,
cool.
right now, before we moved here to Manhattan, we had 2 primaries. My
Oh,
primary
right.
was on Ivy, and her primary was on Harris.
Right.
I mean, so there's no. I mean, it used to be back in the days that you had to combine things, but I mean, they have changed so much to where now you don't even need. I think what you need, maybe a letter signed by your spouse if you want to buy a house. I mean, before you had to be on it, and they had to do all that credit and stuff. And now it's now the spouse doesn't have to be involved. Matter of fact, they could be completely off the transaction altogether. And so that's the route we're going to take. But the hardest part, though, is that first initial
First
purchase.
transaction, that first
Yeah,
purchase? Yeah, I
yeah,
bet. That's a big hurdle to get over. So,
yeah.
man, that's so cool. But why is it different for just land than doing an SB9 with a house on it?
No,
'Cause no,
go
it's
ahead.
it's exact same rules and everything?
Yes, it's the exact
Oh,
same
okay.
matter. With the SB9, you can actually demolish both houses, and I don't know how they do the primary with that, but you can
Mhm.
actually, not both houses, but you can actually go in and just demolish the house and say, "I'm gonna build 2 houses," and split the lot right away. But the I don't know, what I think the clock starts ticking once you close escrow for your 3 years. And so you could be living, of course, off site while those houses are being built. And, you can build the houses with the intent of, hey, you're going to split it. So you got two water meters, you got two utilities, you've already got some of them may need an easement, so you already got
Right.
the easement already set up for the front and the back. We're looking at corner lots because we want to avoid a lot of the easement kind of thing, and and we want access. And there are some 7,000 square foot lots out here still, which is amazing. So it's pretty interesting. And also the
Awesome.
amazing thing about that is with SB9 is you can build a duplex on each lot. So
So 4, technically 4 households?
yes, yes. So you split the lot and you put a duplex out front and the in front and a duplex on the other half, whatever back, or if it's a side. And so now you have a total of four homes. And you can see how that can really snowball and scale very quickly. If you're doing one of those every 18 months, then
Yeah.
it's not going to take very long for you to be in that, that higher
Oh,
income.
yeah. Can you explain a little bit more about SB9 and how it came about? Or do you know?
Yeah, 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 of course. So it came about just for the housing crisis, here, the lack of affordable housing, the inability of some families and some communities to generate wealth. And so this was kind of like a way of, the legislature saying, okay, look, there's a way that we can allow these homeowners to, to to accumulate wealth. And but it's see the thing is they have a lot of restrictions, which is companies can't go in there and do it. Two people can't buy two lots next to each other, tear down that center line and make
Mm,
four duplexes. So there's some, there's some little qualifiers there. And
sure.
they want to be able to empower homeowners who have a backyard that's just sitting there and, I mean, back in the day, yeah, we loved backyards, but now, kids don't play in the backyards anymore. They're on their games. It's a completely different,
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah, generation. And too, you got your backyard. I mean, you got a beautiful
Yeah.
backyard. So
It's big, but you're right. Like, I'm thinking I wanna do the same thing. I wanna put an ADU back there and maybe do the short-term rentals, like, maybe some Airbnbs but,
yeah,
that's for another time. I wanna hear
absolutely.
more from you.
So
So you're gonna do the split, so you got your eye on any properties right now, any land you said? And then you
So right now, I just keep looking. Yeah, I just keep looking at the platforms out there, Zillow, Redfin, and I'm just looking around, just getting the market. The key is you have to be able to master your local market. I was able to master my local market there in North Sacramento because that's where I was a property manager. That's where I lived. I was born there. I moved to LA when I was a teenager here in Manhattan Beach or in the South Bay. And then I moved back when I was a young adult. But I was able to, just to master that market and be able to see, a good deal and see the potential of a deal right away. And in North
Mhm.
Sacramento, it was like, hey, does it have an alley? If it had an alley, to me, that was an immediate buy, you know, because hey, that's access. That's so easy. That's so much better when it comes to construction, bringing in cement trucks. Just to me, that's just so much easier when you have
Sure.
an outlet.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so mastering your local market, that's really it. That's when you're looking at, you have to be an expert in your local markets. So now that's what I'm pretty much what I'm doing. I grew up here, and but I'm still trying to master this market, and that's just doing research. Looking at the trends, looking at the price per square foot, and then looking at alley access. And there are some places that have alley access, which is incredible because that is perfect. Or corner lots. So yeah, that's basically the direction I'm going.
I
Yeah.
love it. So doing the research, just trying to figure out, to get a feel for it. Obviously, it's going to take time. You're not going to be able to do that overnight.
Mhm.
But with all the experience you have here in Sacramento, like, yeah, obviously, and you from there, I think it'll won't be very long until you find something and or getting that ball rolling. But
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's so cool. I love hearing about the lot splits because I remember talking about it and hearing about it, and like it was going through the legislator, and we just didn't know if
Mhm,
it was actually going to pass. And then
mhm.
once it did, it was like, oh yeah, that's a big opportunity for people. And
Yeah.
I just didn't realize how, I mean, what you could do two duplexes though. So that's even bigger. That's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. And the beautiful thing about that is, well, the reason why okay, so the reason why I'm doing it here is because you have that time constraint. You have that 3 years. You gotta invest it anyway, so you wanna maximize what you can get from that 3 years. Yeah, I could have done it in Sacramento, but all I'm gonna get is 150,000, and I've invested 3 years, and then I gotta jump to the next one. Here, it's 10 times more. So now, yeah, I'm going to get 1.5 million and then I'll jump it to the next one. Yes, the barrier to entry is high because it's going to cost you 1.5 to get into it, but
Mhm.
you know what you're going to get out of it. And yeah, so that is really the key is if a person wants to do this, really look at your market and know that you're going to split that lot and sell it. And so you don't want to do it in a lower, income area. Nothing against those because our working class, I grew up in those areas. It's just that just financially, you want to maximize your time and your effort. And so you have to now, if that's the only place you can go to get your feet wet, and that's what I did, and that's what my mom
Exactly.
did, you got to go and you have to buy where you can afford it,
You
obviously.
gotta start somewhere too also, so it's like
Yeah,
if
yeah, exactly. Start
that's
somewhere.
home to you, then that's where it makes the most
Yeah,
sense. Start it right there.
and
Sorry, go
also,
ahead.
also, yeah, and also the quality of the construction. When if you're going to build in, a lower income area, then you have to get renter's grade. But if you're going to like areas like this, you have to go. You can't just go to Home Depot and get your stuff. You gotta go to
Right.
these. You know,
Yeah,
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 you gotta go to
totally.
these different galleries, and you got to buy all kinds of
Special
fancy.
order and all that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah, 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 because, I mean, that's what people are looking for when they're ready to spend, plop down 2, 3 million, for a home. But out here, a new house, they just built one right here. I'm glad they're finished too, because they were banging all winter long. But I mean, it
Yeah.
was all good. These things are going for 6, $8 million. So yeah.
Have you thought about, are you gonna do any type of building there? Or are you just gonna do the land?
Well, see, I won't do any. I used to physically build it, but I'm
Right.
not going to do that anymore. So
Okay.
I'm strictly just going to purchase the corner lot and then get it surveyed, have it split, and then either contract that back or even just sell it as is. I can
Mhm.
contract that, or I can just sell it. I can just sell that piece of property in my backyard, literally for $1.5 million, and be like, okay, I just got this house in front for 60, 70% off. So that's that's one model, but then I'm stuck there for 3 years, which is fine.
Yeah.
Or but so that I haven't really figured that out yet. I think it would really have to do with it's on a case by case basis. I mean, if I see a nice piece of property and I see that I could actually put two duplexes and they look really, really super nice and it's just gonna fit, and then I'll just go with that. And of course my budget.
But that's I was actually gonna ask you, budget wise, do you suggest someone trying to do the SB9 like for the first time, like saving and just doing it all cash or getting a loan financially or with these high interest rates, or what's your thought on all this?
My thought is this: if somebody's about to do this the first time, I would recommend just doing an SDU or an ADU in their backyard because they need to understand if they want to learn this, the SB9 is advanced. I mean, if you've never done anything like that before, you're going to spend a lot of money on contracting help. You're just going to have a lot of people out there, and you're going to be spending a lot, tens of thousands of dollars just to get the land ready for you and get everything all prepared. Whereas with an ADU or an SDU, you can just go down and get your permit and build up to 1,200 square feet. Make sure it's separate from the house. Make sure it's as close to that back line as you comfortably want it, to where it's like positioned. And that's positioning has everything to do with it. Position where you're going to position your home, and then the max you can do with the ADU is 1,200 square feet. But you can also have a 2-car garage. You got to, and I'd make it 2 stories. So you make a 2-car garage, 1,200 square feet, 4 bedroom, 2 bath. And so a total of 1,600 square feet, 2 stories. And that's easy. That's a 40 by 40 or 25 by 25, whatever. Two
That's a
story.
decent sized house, you know? A lot of people here in Sacramento would kill for that, or not kill for it, would
Yeah.
love to have that, you know?
Yeah. And you put that in your backyard, and then, now you have something. And then at that point, you can decide, and always when you're building it, keep in mind if you wanted to split the lot. And so you have to keep that in mind. Do I want to split this lot? That's why a corner lot is the best to do this. Do I want to split this lot, or do I have the option to split the lot? Don't build the house so close to the front house that the option to split the lot isn't there anymore. You got to
Mhm.
keep that option open. And so that's why it has to be detached, like that house on Grand Avenue. I made that house with the option. That thing, that's two completely separate houses. They're far enough apart from each other. It was a
Yeah,
rental. So rentals, you can't do the SB9. It has to be your primary residence. So I
right.
couldn't do it, but I could have. I could have just moved in there. I could have just moved in there and then sold the house and back.
That's
But
true.
that wasn't the model. I would just sell it and come down here. So I would say, just if somebody wanted to do that, I would start with the SDU or ADU, which, however you don't want to term it, accessory dwelling unit or secondary dwelling unit, and just put one in the back, and then start with that. You don't even have to go to the 1,200 square foot. You can just put a little 3 bedroom, 1 bath cottage. And what that does is it gives you the experience that's necessary to be able to go to that next step of SB9. If you want to go to SB9 right away, that's bold too. Just know that you're gonna you're gonna need some consulting. You're gonna need
Yeah.
a lot of guidance. With the ADU, you don't need as much.
Plus, you can kinda get your feet wet, determine if
Yeah.
that's something for you or not, and then kind of just
And you mentioned, but you mentioned them about financing and about
yeah.
budget. Well, the SB9, it's tricky because when you start splitting up the property, now the mortgage the your mortgage company, they're still going to consider that one under one loan. So they're not going to split it up and say, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna." It's still that mortgage is under that whole entire lot. So you would have to refinance it at that point to get rid of that other half. But with the SDU ADU, you don't need that. You just go and you build, and it's all good. And you can actually do that very you don't well, the one I built on Grand, just to start off, I just took out a $25,000 personal loan, just a personal loan. And then, I started working. I just got the groundwork done, got the permits done. And then from there, in Sacramento, see, some cities will waive the permit fees. See, they did it after I already got my permit.
Of course.
But I know up to 700 square feet, they will waive the permit fees, and it costs like $10,000 savings. I mean,
Wow.
that's a lot when you're first starting out.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
nice incentive.
yeah. So in Sacramento, they do have a waiver where up to 750 square feet, they're going to waive the fees because they really want these things going up. But no, you just take a personal loan out and get started. Don't worry about the rest. The rest is going to come. If you can just break ground, get the foundation, get the rough plumbing foundation, get the utilities in, and then, get the framing, and then wrap it and put a roof on it. Hey, you're safe. You're safe from
Yeah.
the elements, and then you can work it you can work it as you go. The one on Grand Avenue, I was about halfway through it.
Mhm.
No, I'd say about 75% through it, and I ran out of money. So I already had like about 90,000 into it. And I literally, I was getting loans, and I was borrowing from family, and my brother lent me $15,000. I was like, "Thank you,
Oh,
bro."
boy.
But he saw the buildings. My brother's gonna pay me back. My uncle lent me 10,000. So I was just borrowing from family and from banks, and I still it was like, man, I still need about 30,000 left. And at that point, I went and I did a hard money loan. And those aren't,
Oh, tell me
yeah.
about that. Tell me
Yeah.
about
Well,
that.
the hard money loan. So they came in and they valued the property. I only owed 125,000 on it. That's all I had on it. So the loan officer, I'll call him, came out and took a look at the property and was like, okay, we'll give you 60% loan to value. It's a 2-year loan. It's 10% interest only. I was like, okay, that's enough. That's enough to get me to finish. I borrowed, I think they gave me 160 on it. Was it 100? Yeah, they gave me 160,000 on it, and so I had the 35,000 that I needed to finish it, and then then I refinanced. Uh, uh, Luckily, I was able to refinance because it was like COVID hit, and then all of a sudden the banks just shut down. I'm like, I'm calling Eddie. I'm like,
Yeah,
Eddie, I got
yeah,
nothing
you're
for you.
good.
I said, I'm stuck in this hard money, this hard money loan. It's due in about 16 months, and I don't want him to take my house. He said, I can't help you, but luckily, thank God, the markets opened up and I was able to refinance it. But
Okay.
yeah, but the hard money. So that's what you do. You go as far as you can with, friends, family, investors, banks, you just credit cards, you just tap out everything you can,
Mhm.
within reason to get as far as you can. And then when you realize, okay, nobody's going to lend me any more money, credit card companies, they're not doing anything for me anymore. Then, then you go to your hard money loan. They're going to charge you 12%, probably now more like 12%, but it's only interest only. And then, but, and
Mhm.
it's, yeah, and it's short. It's a short term. It's between 18 and 24 months. And then because you've already put value.
Yeah.
You put a bunch of value now in your
Oh,
property.
good point. Good point.
Yeah. And then, so now you can pull off that, and they already see the value there, and they're like, okay, this
So
person's going to,
had you gone to them first, they probably wouldn't have given it to you because you hadn't even started the building, right? So they came out
absolutely.
and looked at it like, "Oh, there's value here. We'll obviously give you, the loan." But
Yeah.
you don't think would they have loaned you the money if you
It depends on where you're at. Okay. In that area, no, because this was in 2018. So 2018 is when I started that. And the property was only valued. It was just a little, like, you saw the house, 700 square
Yeah.
feet house.
Yeah, tiny
It,
little
it-
thing.
yeah, it only valued at 160. So it was really cheap. And nobody's gonna come and say, yeah, I'll give you $150,000 to put a house on that. What if I just take the money and run? It's like, yeah, you got a
Yeah.
house. Wait a
Good
minute. I didn't
point.
want that house.
Good point.
I want the money. No, so it really depends. And it depends, and a lot of people have a lot of equity. A lot of people have a lot of equity in their homes. And, some people don't even have mortgages on their homes. So hard money is you can actually get that right off the bat instead of refinancing and getting, doing all that stuff. Because hard money loans are easy to get. That
Yeah.
you don't there's not a lot of income verifications. It's just you basically, they look at the property, they see what it's worth, they see what they could get out of it if you default, and then they give you a number. So to start it off, not there, but here
Yeah.
in Manhattan, you can do stuff like that because they know that if you walk away, they got a
Value's
ton of
already
value.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they got a ton of value. So
Yeah, because 'cause they're gonna get more than their money back, obviously.
obviously.
But,
Now, if I didn't own anything on it, I had a mortgage on that house. If I owned it free and clear and it was valued at 160,000, then a hard money lender would have probably came in and gave me 60% loan to value, which is what, 80,000, 90,000, but more like not 90, 95,000. But
so that
that's
was
not
just if
really.
you had you had it paid off with the equity in the house you're talking about, right?
Yeah, but I don't think he would have given me that because he knew that 90,000 wouldn't have built the house. When he came and looked at the house, he knew that I was about $30,000 away from finishing it.
I
So
see.
he did that. He did his calculation. Says, yes, I know you'll finish it with $30,000. I'll give you 30,000. To complete this, and then you pay me back, of course. And it was a private investor. it was a private investor. It wasn't like a company. It was a private person.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
how do you even find a hard money lender? Like,
Well, you
are they big or if like private hard money lender? Like
well
you did.
well, I would say the first one I found it through my loan found it through Eddie. So through a trusted loan officer. I wouldn't necessarily go on like Google or I wouldn't really do that because, you know, those ads pop up and those guys, you don't know nothing about those guys. You don't know one guy, it, let's just say that there's some guys out there. Literally some loan sharks. I mean, they will tell you one thing, and when you're in escrow, it's something completely different, and they think they got you. And when you get up and and I've walked out of escrow, and they were like, "Wait, what are you going? Where are you going?" I was like, You know, you changed your terms on me. This isn't how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
But
Wow. You've
so you
actually
have
had to walk out before?
yeah, yeah, I walked out.
Very
I
cool.
mean, I was there, I was ready, and I said, "Wait a minute." They went from 10% to 12%. They just did a bunch of stuff, and they thought that I was desperate. And so I just got up and walked out, and they were like, "Hey, hey, the ball's rolling. You got to do so." I said, "I don't have to do nothing." I said, you change those terms," and
Mhm.
they were unwilling to change the terms, and I said, "Okay." And they had some prepayment penalty in there, and I was like, "Wait a minute, that's no,
Okay.
no, no." There's just all kinds
Yeah.
of stuff. So, you gotta
Yeah.
be careful with the hard money. That's why I say go to your a loan officer that you trust, that you've worked with before, or just do research. Yeah.
That's a good point. Because you like well, I never thought to go to a mortgage broker or a lender because isn't that their competition? But
Oh,
you're really close with Eddie, so you can trust him and he's willing to give you that information, but is that common for someone or for a
yeah,
broker or to do that?
yes.
Yeah?
The
Oh,
the
okay.
reason is okay, the reason why I was able to get the hard money loan was because he could not there was no value in it. Okay, Eddie, he worked for I forget what companies,
Prime lending?
Prime Lending or Supreme Lending, yeah.
Supreme.
And so they in order he said, "Look, the house has to pass. It has to be completely built and it has to pass a final inspection, and then we can give you a loan on it." I said, "Eddie, I still need about 40, $50,000 to finish it." He said, "Well, our
Nice.
company can't do it, but I do have a friend, and, he's a buddy of mine, and of course, he gave him a little kickback for referral. So Eddie
Oh,
got
I'm
something
sure.
out of it. He got a little
Oh,
referral,
okay.
and
Okay.
so he sent me to one of his trusted friends, and I was able to get a hard money loans from them because Loan Depot and those places they can't just they're not in that business of
Yeah.
construction loans or whatever, which would this would have been. They're in the business of the house is fully built, complete. We're just gonna
Mhm.
we'll help you purchase that. But the good thing about it is that right after I finished, and of course COVID came, but when all that stuff was over, I finally did go to Eddie, and he did refinance me, and so he eventually did get to refinance it at a higher rate. So everything worked really well.
Awesome. I
Yeah,
love how things kind of fall in place and work out like that. Obviously, you've had to go through your ups and downs, and I'm
yeah,
sure there's more stories, but we're running out of time here. I really want to
yeah.
take the opportunity for you to talk about your nonprofit and give us,
Okay, sure.
maybe we can promote it and give it a shout out, and I'll put
Well,
it up
right now
as much as I can.
it's Coastal Gates in Manhattan Beach. It's a Christian organization, and what we have started implementing is we're going to be doing online courses. And so these are just courses that kind of introduce the entry level believer or maybe somebody who is just kind of looking, just looking for God or just kind of just wanting to explore and see just spiritual things and through a Christian perspective. And so what we're doing now is we are developing and we're going to have a pre-launch pretty soon, probably in a month or two. We're going to be developing these online courses where people can, go on and at their leisure kind of learn the fundamentals of Christianity and who God is and just kind of like the history and then who Jesus is and just kind of like the basic foundations
Very
of
high end type of thing.
yeah, well, it's not. it's not gonna be that expensive. It's gonna be, it's gonna be kind of
Oh,
like low cost
so
entry
it's gonna be,
level.
like, all on the phone, though, like, through an app, so it'll be, like, very affordable then, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be like on a they have these it's a course. Yeah, you can
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, yes, like, those courses that you can do, okay.
yeah,
My
exactly.
bad.
So like on Teachable, we're not gonna go on
Yeah,
Teachable, bro. But,
okay,
and we'll have, 7 or 8 modules, and in each module, we're gonna have, different course studies and different
that's cool.
classes really. And, you go back and we're gonna have quizzes and, just to reinforce the learning, but and then we're gonna be developing Facebook groups. And, you can join the Facebook group and then, kind of introduce yourself and talk about, hey, this is who I am, this is why I come, this is what I'm struggling with. I want deliverance. Say somebody, who was maybe has a problem with drinking or something like that, and they're like, hey, I just want to stop, and I just don't know how to do it. And then, we can develop different Facebook groups for that. Men who are like struggling with lust and stuff like that. I mean, you got a lot of men
Sure.
out there. It's like, I can't stop, and I want to. We have the deliverance, and then, you could be with different men who have overcome those things, and or who are, on a different they're on the same path, maybe a different level.
Different
And so
stage of it.
different stage, exactly, there you go. And also the women, so my wife, she's gonna be taking care of the women and the women's groups and stuff like that. So just kinda having that, keeping it separate, because
Okay.
we don't want any kinda, a temptation, I would say, Oh, oh,
I hear you.
yeah, but also we'll have, singles groups. There's gonna be all kinds of basically, the way we wanna run this is the way you would run a local church, but on a macro level, a virtual church. But we want to really emphasize these what do you call it? The courses. And because some people, they pick up the Bible and they're like, oh, where do I start? It's
Mhm.
what, and then it's
Mhm.
old English or whatever. And and they go through and they start reading, two, three, the first, second, third book, they're like, "This is
Intimidating.
crazy." And yeah, it's exactly. Or they go on YouTube and they're like, they're clicking on all these different pastors and preachers, and you just get it's not really organized. You just have, oh, this is this, but there's no real follow through. What we want to do is we want to take one subject, say whatever it is. Say, so for men, a lot of men are dealing with lust, and
Mhm.
dealing with like pornography and stuff like that. So we want to take one subject and really delve into and say, look, there's some deep issues that are keeping you from being free from that. You're bound. And so instead of just having a little 5-minute video and then, hey, click below, subscribe. No, you're actually going to have like in-depth study and be able to kind of guide you through the Bible, and also doing practical things like, hey, you know what? You kind of need to pray in this area. There's things you need to avoid. So I would say more like Christianity 101, where 101, where it's this is what the Bible says, but this is really how you put it into practice. And, we're using our own experiences, things that we've overcome. And so it's, look, this is a practice how you can, actually walk this out. And then of course the community, the Facebook communities and stuff,
If
those
you
are going to
want
help.
it, but at the same time, you could have it sounds like you can have the anonymity, but still be able to address those issues, which is pretty cool. I've never,
Yes, yes,
seen that. That's a great
yes,
idea.
yeah. Exactly, if you exactly. The Facebook groups are optional. Of course, that's if you wanna,
Each other lift
connect.
up and, yeah, connect
Yeah,
and
yeah,
network, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
like-minded people, that's what they're great for, I mean, that's awesome, but at the same time, it's not for everybody,
yeah,
like,
exactly,
there's
yeah,
always gonna be those people that just want to kinda stick to their own, keep to their own, and they don't wanna put their laundry dirty laundry out there, so, obviously,
yes.
that would be a perfect thing to, kinda get started and get the path of they're trying to, straighten up, I like it.
Yeah, 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 and you're right, with the anonymity, that's what's so good about these online courses is that, you go through the modules and, you can learn at your own pace, and, you don't there's no judgment, there's no, like, teacher saying, kinda judging you or anything, because they're all courses, so they're there, you go through them, you can listen to them, wherever, in the car, whatever, and you can go over and over them, if you really gain the information. And then we're going to have mentorship, though. We are going to have mentorship. one on one, because those who have been called and want to continue growing and continue going and continue, getting closer to God, then we are going to have that one on one mentorship, and that will be a judgment free zone, of course.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool, man. I'm happy for you. You guys, so have you already started working on the courses? Or are you
We Right now, we're working on the pre-launch. So we're getting the marketing all set up. We're getting our platforms all set up. We're at coastalgates.org. And, we do have a domain, but it's not that extensive. It's just kind of like a 5-page website. So we're really working on the back end, really building the course out. I'm getting all my teachers all set up. I have one who's going to be our marriage counselor, and he's been married to the same woman for 42 years. And I don't think there's anything he hasn't
that's
seen
I was
or
about to
heard.
say, that's a good person to do it.
Yeah. So he's going to be our marriage counselor. He's our marriage pastor. People having problems in their marriage, we're going to have a course for that. And they can go through it, and he's going to be like implementing that. And I actually met a group of men, and they were marriage counselors. And the leader told me, he said, the only way you can be part of this group of marriage counselors is if you're married to the same woman for 40 years. After 40 years, that's when we'll let you join.
That's a good prerequisite.
Yeah, yeah. And they had a lot of men in that group, and I'm like, "Are you kidding
Oh,
me?"
do they? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the group that came out was just the one that I met was 5. And I said, "All 5 of you have been married at least 40 years?" "Yeah." He said, "Most of us got married when we were 18 or 19. And so we're like in our early 60s, or late 50s, early 60s, I mean, we're
Yeah.
still, we're still active." And I'm like, "That's amazing." So yes, our marriage counselor has been married 42 years. And, so we're getting experts here. And it depends on what, how we can help people, and
Yeah.
what people are striving for, what people are interested in, as far as where they are at and where they want to be. So
Sounds like a lot of value there that you guys are
there is.
providing to people, and I'm excited for you guys. That's awesome. I can't wait
Yeah.
to when's the launch? Do you have a date?
Well, our first, I know it's going to be too soon. We wanted to do it June 25th, but I know that we're just not going to be out. We're just not going to be there by at that time. I had to spend 10 days in Sacramento. My son just graduated from college, so I had to go up to Sacramento and send him off, and I had to do some work on the property. So it was a great time, but that kind of pushed back our launch a little bit, and then we're going to have a couple of get-togethers here. So
But that's
sometime in
okay.
June.
If you have to
Yeah.
push it back, you have to push it back because that's the best part. It's like you haven't actually launched yet, so it's like that's the part that you get to control. If you
Yeah, uh-huh.
try it, like some people, they're just like over analyzing, so they just never start. But that doesn't sound like you guys. It just sounds like
Yeah,
you guys just have so much going on in your life that you just have to push. Because obviously you still have responsibilities and stuff like that.
absolutely.
But yeah, that's awesome, man. I know you guys are gonna launch sooner than later, but just let me know. I'd love to check it
Yeah,
out.
take a look at it. Yeah, take
Part
a
of it.
look at it. We'll send you a link, and we're going to be just like kind of advertising, marketing, because people don't know where we exist, so we have to put that out there. Hey, we
Yeah,
exist.
yeah.
And so we're doing all our marketing right now, looking at all our, our target market, and who we can help, and we're trying to, dwindle it down to that narrow group of people who are like, yeah, I need help in this area and nothing has helped, or I want deliverance, or my son's on drugs, and I need some help for myself and for him. There's all kinds of things, and especially now in this, yeah, I mean, you
Mm,
can see just in this day and age. I mean, it's kind of like a free
not
for
getting
all out
better.
there. No, it's not, huh? And so
That's life though.
yeah, yeah, but it's a little bit of a free for all. I mean, I stopped watching the news decades ago,
Yeah,
and now I'm almost like stop watching YouTube, because it's YouTube. It's like crazy. People just,
yeah,
just
social
robbing
media.
and stealing from Target, and just like walking. I was like, there's just, I don't know, morality is kind of
Yeah, things are getting crazy. I just it's depressing kind of, so I don't like to watch that stuff either. But
yeah,
anyway, yeah, the news is just everything's all shock and all. That's all they're trying to do.
yeah.
Stop watching that a
What
long time
what's
ago.
the thing? If what's the saying? If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like it.
yeah.
Is there anything that you wanna add, maybe you talk about or that we left
No,
out or anything?
no, that was pretty much it. We covered a lot. I was glad I was able to come on your show finally, and just kind of give you a little bit of what I've experienced and what I've gone through, and what I'm about to go through, in the future, and hopefully be able to share and help people, with real estate and also with coastal gates.
And I can't thank you enough, honestly, in so many different ways. John, you're an amazing person. I
Oh,
really think that you have a huge heart. And I can't thank you enough for all the things that you've done for me, including coming on to my podcast.